enlightened business professional, a professional who thinks more holistically about his business than just revenue. And it has become very difficult because times are very demanding, times are very testing. There's too much pressure, too much competition, a lot of AI tools and automation and robotics out there to compete against what we are building and what we are creating. But then that is also where we have the advantage as well, because today we have an opportunity to personalize our offerings based on individual customer segments and customer groups and so on. So this is giving us opportunity to serve a much more bespoke customer segment. I was watching a very well-known TV presenter of a car program who started his own classic car restoration business, and it is definitely something that's bringing in a lot of interest because he's not focusing on just about restoring every car, but specifically restoring classic cars. And so it's the same that applies to anyone today who is actually looking at setting up their own business or looking at making their business, taking their business into a much more niche area, specializing. And as an enlightened business professional, it is an amazing opportunity for you to look into people with specific needs. Today, we are seeing, for example, men who have lost their masculinity and they are struggling to find women, struggling to attract women. Some men have been put off females altogether. And these people amongst them could have still vision of having the desire of having a spouse, a female spouse, a family, and so on. And so that's a very interesting niche market that you can look at. Same as if you're looking at women who are very much pushed out of their feminine frame, they need to fit into a masculine environment because their jobs and so on. So some women have no choice but to quit these lucrative positions, these important positions that they've been studying and they've been working extremely hard to come to. But because it completely strips them of their femininity, they are forced to step out of this role. So how do we help people in these type of groups? And when you look at so many different types of groups out there who are challenged with different situations that's brought on due to their working environment or the environment that they are living in, it could be their family, their culture, their children, uh, and so on. So all of them represents a very bespoke, very specialized area for you to focus at. And this is where I believe, as a holistic entrepreneur who looks at business not just from a profit point of view, but also from every other aspect of an impact on human lives, impact on environment, impact on wildlife, and so on, can offer amazing solutions to people. And one of the amazing things that we do not realize is the amount of value that we have within ourselves when we start our journeys and when we establish our businesses and so on and so forth. There's a lot of important stories within you that you can share to motivate. And this is something that I found personally from my own stories, where I always thought that I was a kind of victim of the situations around me, that I always had to conform to what's happening around me. And as I went back and examined my life from my childhood, I found out it was completely the opposite. I was actually setting my own trends. I was doing things the way that I wanted to. I never cared too much about what people thought of me or so on. So I ended up doing pretty cool stuff. And for most people, this was unthinkable, the way that I dressed, the walk, talk, and the activities that I was involved in. So just guiding someone how to break out of that mold, what society has put you in, how to break out of that frame that you're supposed to, how you're supposed to behave, what you're supposed to do, how you're supposed to talk, walk, and what type of products that you need to be using, and so on. So, just guiding someone with something very simple like that, it could be life changing for some people. And one of the last examples is that recently a gentleman, after 30 or 25 years of marriage, separated with his spouse, and apparently they haven't had any sexual relationship for the last 15 years. But of course, he has been supporting her, and during the separation, he even gave the house that they were living in, completely wrote it on her name. And then the separation was very devastating, though there was no love in that marriage, or definitely no intimacy. Yet he was very devastated. And when he called me, telling that he is uncertain of life, he's in so much fear because he's been paying his now ex-wife a very big large amount, almost $1,500 every month, and now he's given everything to her. So one of the questions I asked is, that's all good, but do you have to still continue paying her? Do you still owe her anything? And then he said, no, he doesn't owe her anything because he's paid her in full and it's all written and done legally in the courts. And then I asked a simple question. So are you worried about your past, or should you be worried, or more focused on your future? And of course, that light bulb went on, and he realized that the past is happened. There's nothing to think about. It's the future that he has to focus, and in the future, he's rid himself of this person where they were not having a happy marriage. So there are so many different ways that we can help people with our own personal insights, as just as so many different ways that we can reach out to different groups of people with the kind of product offerings that we put out there. So it is up to you to decide which market segment are you approaching based on your knowledge and your experience and your interests and your passions, and use all the amazing tools around us: artificial intelligence, generative AI, robotics, autonomous system, to give these unique offerings to these different market segments.